Vancouver.mediacoop.ca.
Okay, so here we are at the infamous Linux Cafe in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. In, what streets are we on?
We're on Grace and Harvard Street.
Grace and Harvard?
Grace and Harvard, yeah. And
Harvard.
Christie turns into Grace Street.
And Christie Street. So we're getting a little bit of a geography lesson. For those of who want to go on Google Maps and check us out. This was the place for the media convergence during the G20. I'm going to leave the rest of the comments about the G20 up to Megan. This is Tami Starlight with the Vancouver Media Co-op. It is April 20th, 2011, and here we are in beautiful Toronto. So, let's see. The first question is, who the hell are you?
That's an interesting question, and maybe I'll be able to get back to you and answer that question at a later date. Okay, I'm a person. I'm from mostly Toronto, partially from Oshawa, Ontario as well, which is a sort of struggling industrial city to the east of here. So I do media stuff with Media Co-op. I mainly do writing. I've been doing some editing lately, and working with new authors for print stuff for Media Co-op. I also do a lot of activism around Canadian mining companies in Latin America.
So, I was going to ask you, what the fuck do you do? So, perhaps we'll get more into the Media Co-op and the convergence during the G20, and then about the Media Co-op itself, the Toronto Media Co-op.
Yeah, so we had the G20 protests here, obviously, in June of last year. Those were very major protests. There was 1,000 arrests. It was pretty much the biggest policing operation that's ever taken place in Toronto, and a fairly large protest as well. They say there was about 20,000 people, which is pretty good since it was like raining and kind of freezing and crappy that whole weekend. But yeah, so I was somewhat active in the Toronto Media Co-op before that. I'd posted maybe 2 articles, I think. But yeah, for the G20, I'd done mainly activism, but I have been doing some writing as well, and I decided that I wanted to, really take that on seriously. And the Alternative Media Center, the convergence that we set up, was really awesome, and really allowed me to really become a journalist and work with people that were really experienced, and working with those people just really upped my level. And I was doing, just sort of hitting the streets doing journalism for the whole weekend, so that was pretty exciting.
So my next question would be, what is the Toronto Media Co-op?
The Toronto Media Co-op is it's a cooperative. We're related to the other media co-ops across the country. So Vancouver Media Co-op, Halifax Media Co-op, and Vancouver Media Co-op. We're also part of the sort of larger umbrella media co-op thing, which also is the Dominion. So we publish the Dominion. So this is sort of the national thing that we publish.
What edition is that?
Oh, this is the exciting Climate Justice Edition, which I worked on, edited. I wrote a small piece in it as well. So yeah, this was made by people across the country, an editorial collective, and it's about climate justice and how it affects Canada, and what is climate justice. Taking the environmental movement, out of sort of elite environmentalists, and really putting it in the hands of the people, right? Like, if it's not environmentalism for social justice, it's not going to work, and it's also wrong. So that's sort of the point of the special issue. Yeah, so the Toronto Media Co-op, we do grassroots news from Toronto. So it's mainly Toronto writers. We also work with Mayday in Hamilton as well. And so yeah, we want to report the news in Toronto that doesn't get reported. And we don't want to report, just what the mayor says. We want to report, the news from the grassroots, from people that are affected, from activists. The other thing we are is we're an open publishing model. Like, we don't believe in elites that only journalists write news. we think that anyone should be able to contribute, and we all need to sort of own our own media. So owning your own media, that could mean, contributing money and owning it in that way, or it could mean owning in a more substantive sense, writing, making your media, or contributing, saying, hey, I think this should be covered. It's an interesting story. So yeah, that's sort of the model that we have. It's an open publishing model, and yeah.
So, how long has the Toronto Media Co-op been in existence? How many people are involved, and how can people get involved?
Toronto Media Co-op's been in existence for, I'm not sure exactly, I think it's been about a year, but I haven't been involved. I'm not a founding member, so I wasn't involved since its inception. It's really, really taken off since the G20 convergence, although it was operating before that. This email says that the Toronto Media Co-op's been in existence since February 2010. And since then we've had 783 posts. So that's 783 unique posts, a news story, a press release, a blog post, that kind of thing, on the site. And it looks like we've had 154 active contributors to the site. And that's a conservative estimate of the number of people who are posting, because sometimes people post for someone else. So that's at least 150 people who have posted a story on there, or a press release, or something else.
So address and how they can get a hold of you, how people can participate.
Right, so you can find our address at toronto.mediacoop.ca, or you can just Google Toronto Media Co-op. That's what I always do. I don't know who types in web addresses anymore, but I certainly don't. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can join the Media Co-op. There's on the top right-hand corner, there's a join donate button to become a member. Or you can email us at tmc@mediacoop.ca. And we're looking for all kinds of different people. We're looking for contributors, we're looking for writers, videographers, people to do radio, video, photographers, editors, people who do computer stuff. So there's all kinds of different ways to contribute, depending on what you want to do. And if you don't have any of those skills, you can learn. We'll teach you.
Thank you, Megan Kinch of the Toronto Media Co-op. This is Tami Starlight, the Vancouver Media Co-op, signing off from Toronto, Canada. Here we are in the infamous alley.
This is where it all happened.
This is where it all happened, apparently. What happened?
So this year was the location of the Alternative Media Center, the Real Alternative Media Center, which is part of the media convergence for the G20. So we had reporters here, sort of, on different ends of the spectrum, activist reporter activist, people were more activists and people were more journalists. But we were all here during the G20 reporting on the fucked up shit that happened, cops beating people, clearing out the free speech zone with, batons and, imprisoning over 1,000 people, treating them badly, lots of rape threats, lots of people weren't given water, that kind of thing. So yeah, covering all that. House raids, people being dragged out of their cabs on their way to things. Illegal search and seizures, we covered it first. Mainstream media covered some of this stuff about 6 months after we got to it. Of course, we didn't get any credit, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to get out the story.
Let's have a look at the space.
The space is now closed. I could have got the key but anyway, I didn't. Anyway, so this is the space here. This unassuming garage-like thing was the space for Media Co-op. And you'll notice that it's got these nice bar things, which were very helpful when the cops came to call. The cops showed up a couple times. They said that we didn't have a right to be here. Fortunately, we had a copy of the lease agreement or whatever, but this was actually closed and locked with a bicycle lock to keep them from illegally searching the place. There's a lot of illegal searches happening here in the G20, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of accountability for them. So yeah, coming up on almost a year soon, a couple months. But it's crazy. It seems like it happened yesterday. Yeah. So at the time, this space was crazy. It was it had people doing video stuff, video editing, people writing things, people doing photographs. We had Spoke meetings every night for the Spoke, which was our broadsheet that we had and distributed. So yeah, we'd go through, we'd have the different stories, we'd be like, who wants to cover this, who wants to cover this, and we'd try to get audio, print, and photography and video for every major event that was going on, and we would all leave from here, a lot of the times on rickety bicycles, several which were stolen by the cops during the course of the G20. Yeah.
Awesome. Don't forget to fucking vote.
Did I say allegedly enough times?
Did you say allegedly?
Did I remember to say allegedly enough times? Yeah, you always have to say allegedly. Allegedly.
Okay. Good. I'm glad we're clear. This is Tami Starlight in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Occupied land, Indigenous land.
Mississauga land.
The Dominion, Mississauga, and Unit.
It's Mississauga land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unceded.
Yeah.
To the crown of fucking England. Alright. Rock on. Support your independent, local, grassroots, alternative, radical media. Like the Media
Vancouver.mediacoop.ca